Hey Steve, what's new with you today?
Hello. I chat with people online on an online chat platform from all over the world, people who are trying to learn English and improve practice, basically. But I find an awful lot of people are so shy and so nervous of coming in and actually chatting and starting to chat. They're scared of doing that. What can you suggest for me?
That's a common challenge. You could try breaking the ice with simple, non-intimidating questions. Start with topics that are universal, like favorite foods, movies, or hobbies. Also, sharing a bit about yourself first might encourage them to open up. And remember, patience is key. What do you think of giving this a try?
Yeah, I can give that a try. One thing I've found as well is that often people that are learners, certainly people that are beginners, when they hear there's a native English speaker, me being from Britain, that makes them even more frightened.
Yes, that can feel intimidating for them. It might help to downplay your native speaker status. Maybe share personal anecdotes about your own language learning struggles, or express admiration for their efforts. Creating a friendly and supportive environment could help ease their nerves. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing. I always encourage people. Very often they'll come in, they'll type in the type chat section and say, my English is not good, or I'm not very good, or my English is bad, something like that. But I always try and encourage people to come and speak. Take that first step of saying hello, because you can start a conversation by saying, hello, I'm from, I don't know, India, or I'm from Turkey.
That's a fantastic approach. Encouraging those first steps is key. Everyone starts somewhere, and your openness can make a big difference. Plus, talking about where they're from can be a great icebreaker. Keep fostering that supportive environment, and you'll see them open up more confidently. You're doing good work. Keep it up.
Yeah, it is a little frustrating sometimes. You get a group of perhaps 10 people in the group, and there's just one other person and myself talking. And that's fine, because people are there to listen, they're there to experience English being spoken. And when there's a native speaker, that's great for the people that are learning English. But it's always frustrating for me thinking, well, I've got 9 other people, or maybe 8 other people there that potentially could come and speak. And I know the majority of them are just scared. They're really frightened to open their mic and say hello.
It sounds like you're providing a really supportive space. Those quiet listeners are likely benefiting from just being there, even if they don't speak up. Maybe try small rewards or incentives for those who do participate. Or perhaps start with a round of introductions where everyone says a bit about themselves. That might help break the ice. What do you think about trying some of these ideas?
Yeah, that's a good idea, to ask people to introduce themselves. That might encourage them to come to the mic. But like I say, a lot of people, their heart rate goes up, they're sweating, and it's like you're asking them to chop their arm off. But all you're asking them to do is to come and say hello.
Yeah, it's a big step for them. The fear of judgment or making mistakes can really heighten their anxiety. Maybe emphasize that it's a safe space for learning, where mistakes are part of the process. You could also share some light-hearted stories about your own language blunders to show it's okay to not be perfect. It's all about progress, not perfection.
Yeah, that's true. I'm fairly open about myself. I often get asked a lot of questions, like where I'm from, what do I do, etc. The usual 5 or 6 questions that most people ask in these chat groups. And I'm fairly open about myself. There's some things I hold back, but usually I'm fairly open in talking and trying to get a conversation going about things that I usually do during the day, like my procedures for the day, that kind of thing. I did find that often a lot of people like to talk about their hobbies and their interests. Everybody likes to talk about things they enjoy doing. And sometimes that brings people out of their shell. That will get them to open their mic.
Absolutely. Hobbies and interests are a great way to get people talking. They're personal, relatable, and can make people feel more comfortable. It's great that you share about yourself. It sets the tone and makes you more approachable. Plus, when people talk about what they love, it can really lift the energy of the conversation. Keep encouraging that, and you'll likely see more people coming out of their shells. You're doing a wonderful job.
Well, thank you. I like to be encouraging. I get great enjoyment from helping people with English. I'm not a teacher. I'm just somebody that likes to help, being a native speaker. I know quite a bit about English, but I'm not a teacher. I'm just a helper, and I've been doing it since about 2000, I suppose.
That's fantastic. Your passion for helping is evident, and it's wonderful that you've been doing it for so long. You're providing a valuable service, and your encouragement can make a big difference in someone's learning journey. Keep doing what you're doing. It's clearly having a positive impact.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you for your tips and tricks. They're going to be very useful. And I'm sure when people listen to this, they'll listen to it and think, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to just open the mic and say hello.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you found the tips helpful. It really is about making that first move. And with someone encouraging like you, I'm sure more will find the courage to speak up. Keep up the fantastic work.
Oh, yeah. One thing I often say is, don't be shy. Come and say hi.
That's a great mantra. Simple, welcoming, and easy to remember. Encouraging that friendly vibe can make all the difference. Keep spreading that positive energy. You're doing fantastic work.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for your help. I appreciate the tips and tricks.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Keep up the great work with your group. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's dive in. We're looking at sources today dealing with something pretty universal in language learning, that really intense nervousness people get when they just try to practice speaking, even online.
Right. And specifically, we're looking at it from the angle of the host, someone running an online English chat group, not a teacher, but a helper. And the goal is figuring out the actual practical tips they use to help people get past that speaking anxiety and maybe why those tips worked.
Yeah, because the sources make it sound really severe, like learners are so shy they won't even start talking.
They type first, apparently.
Exactly, typing things like, my English is bad, or sorry for my English, just apologizing up front.
And wasn't there something about the native speaker making it worse?
Yeah, that really jumped out at me. It specifically mentioned a native speaker from Britain, and their presence could make learners even more frightened.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just general shyness, it's amplified by that specific context.
And it's physical, too. Source talks about heart rates going up, sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the host even said asking them to just say hello felt like asking them to, chop their arm off.
That sounds extreme, but it paints a picture of just how paralyzing that fear can be.
Totally. So given that level of anxiety, how do the sources suggest breaking through? What's the first step?
Well, the sources point to immediate, really low-stakes icebreakers. Things like asking super simple questions.
Okay, like what?
Universal stuff. Favorite foods, movies, hobbies, general interests. The helper actually noted everybody likes to talk about things they enjoy doing. It shifts the focus.
Ah, right. So instead of worrying about, is my grammar perfect?
Exactly. You're thinking, how do I share this thing I like? It becomes about communication, not just accuracy. Makes sense.
Okay, that tackles the learner's side. But what about the host? How do they make themselves less intimidating? Especially that native speaker from Britain factor.
Yeah, that's crucial. The sources suggest downplaying the native speaker label a bit. And more importantly, sharing their own stories, like talking about their own struggles learning languages or even funny mistakes they've made.
Sharing their own blunders. Wouldn't that, make them seem less like an expert?
That's a fair question, right? But the sources frame it differently. It's about changing the power dynamic. When the host, especially one maybe perceived as having perfect English, admits they struggle too, it kind of levels the playing field.
I see. It makes it less like a test and more like We're all in this together.
Precisely. It reinforces that idea of a safe space for learning. Vulnerability builds connection, reduces fear.
So it all comes back to encouraging that very first tiny step.
Just starting. Like,
Yeah.
hello, I'm from whatever country. That's it. The focus has to be, as the sources say, progress, not perfection.
And that host's mantra, don't be shy, come and say hi. Simple, but probably quite effective.
Yeah, very well.
So, if we zoom out, what are the main takeaways for someone listening? Maybe someone who is that nervous learner or someone thinking of helping out.
Well, for the learner, maybe it's realizing you don't need a perfect opening line. Just make a sound, say hello, start super simple.
Right. And for the helper,
Yeah.
use your own experiences, your vulnerability, talk about relatable things like hobbies, make it less about judgment.
Exactly. Reduce that fear factor.
Okay, but what about those people the source mentioned? The ones who just listen, the silent participants.
Right. The source acknowledges that's valuable too. They're still experiencing English being spoken, absorbing the language passively.
Which is definitely useful.
It is. But here's maybe something to think about. If you are one of those listeners benefiting from that passive low anxiety immersion, how do you bridge that gap? How do you move from just listening comfortably to actually speaking, knowing that, yeah, that initial anxiety is probably always going to be there at first?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It likely just takes, well, taking that small step repeatedly, building that muscle of courage maybe. Knowing progress is the goal, not instant perfection.
It really boils down to just starting, however small. Great insights. Thanks for joining this deep dive, everyone. Hopefully, this helps you feel a bit more ready to just say hi.